Hello and welcome to Spa for week 6 of Endurance for Amateurs. Tonight we'll be racing from the dark into the bright daylight. I'm joined by Zachary Purcell. Now Zach, who is your pick of the night for GTD Pro?
For Pro, I mean, you can see right there with qualifying, Kerry Kyrie Jr., who keeps putting in like faster laps through this, just has an almost unbelievable gap to second place right now. Certainly a larger gap than we've seen anywhere else, even including the Nürburgring. And I mean, it certainly looks like he's gonna, try to put in a pretty dominant win today.
I'd say he's looking good as long as that Wi-Fi holds out, which we saw a little struggle with last week. But here we are. I'd say Terry Calgary Jr. has a pretty good chance tonight with an almost 6/10 gap. I'll agree with you there. Now, who's your pick for GTD Am?
Yeah, man, you looking at those at qualifying, that's a much tougher answer. Obviously, we see 1,000th between Hingley and Kelly right now, but then Curry, Newby, De La Salle, Ray, like all these guys are still like the top 10 are all still in the fight, which is the most we've seen for GTD Am, I think, through probably most of the races. Still have some qualifying to go, of course. I think that one driver that Christopher Newby typically outraces his qualifying slot, and him qualifying all the way up in 4th right now could mean pretty good things for the race pace that he may unleash later tonight.
Yeah, and that 4th is pretty much as good as pole with the time he set. Like, they're so close. We rarely ever see that. And let's see the top. We've got 16 cars in GTD Am, and the gap is just about 2.2, but that's a bit of an outlier. It's mostly within a second of each other, so it's going to be a really, really great race tonight.
Yeah, looking at combining the classes, even if we just look at the gap between 6th and 16th is just half a second between Tyler Langenberg and Michael De La Salle, just half a second between 11 drivers there, which is insane.
Yeah, I cannot wait for this race as we see the Mercedes of Richard Curry heading up to the infamous corner, Eau Rouge and Radion.
Yeah, it's luckily with these drivers using they all use the fixed high downforce setup. It's not too scary with the high downforce. It's not the meta for the track. It's not the setup that you would use in a open competition. It makes a lot of this track a lot safer, and that's good for the racing.
Definitely makes it a lot safer. I remember back when we did the 24 hours of Spa here, the biggest debate we had as a team was, do we run more wing? Do we run less wing? The ARB, the diff, all that, especially for one corner, that'd be Blanchimont, that fast left-hander. It's almost just barely flat out. Now, what would you say is the most dangerous corner now that Blanchimont is not as much of a threat?
As far as dangerous, I would say that probably the area that we're going to see the most mistakes is in the Lake Holmes chicanes, turns 7, 8, 9 at the end of the Kimmel Straight. It's just really technical, easy to, accidentally mount the curbs or get a little bit of oversteer. With the high downforce, when you've got turns like Puhan and Blanchimont and then Radion, the ones that aren't an issue anymore, I feel like that's probably the one where we'll see the most mistakes. I'm certain that within like the first 5 laps, we'll see a backwards car on the outside of turn 8 at some point.
I'm sure we will. It's very, very easy to go through that grass and take somebody else out. I know we saw that a few times in the 24 hours. And yeah, I just can't wait to watch this race tonight as we see. Ooh, that looks like Daniel Hingley in that Ferrari there. Had a little spin.
Yeah, I almost brought up Campus as well as being a candidate. It's just really easy on that one to go wide into the into the gravel trap. And again, that's another one where I'm sure we'll see a driver do it. At least, lose time and potentially positions from it.
Into the pits goes Steven Shepard. He's looking to improve his lap, but couldn't make it happen that timeout.
Yeah, and we're running the endurance pits, so this is a track that it's a little bit better than it used to be with the track limits, but it still can be tough to stay under that penalty limit. Depends on your driving style, and if you get a drive-through here, there's no worse place to get a drive-through penalty than the endurance pits of Spa. It takes forever to get through, and then you've got so much less momentum once you come out of the pits. You're like already onto the straight. It's not good. Drivers will be really trying to avoid getting that penalty.
Yeah, now for reference, that's driving the length of the start-finish straight 2 times at about 60 kilometers an hour or 100 kilometers an hour.
It's so slow. You got to lift in the pit lane to make that turn between the two pit sections.
Yeah, here we see Matthias Akrich going through very, very, very slowly here.
Yeah, you'll see. He has to make a lift here. He can't even go flat out through the pit lane.
Just how tight that is there. And it's going to make pit strategy a bit more interesting. See if anybody can really, really use that slipstream and make it work, that you don't have to pit that one extra time. We saw it happen once, I think. And if you're going to do it anywhere, this is the place to do it.
Yeah, and I think this one will be interesting as well, because I think despite how long the pit lane is, the pit entry and the pit exit are, well, I was going to say pretty much impossible to mess up. I think in general, drivers won't, when you compare it to some other tracks, you're not going to see a lot of time gained and lost in the pit entry and exit cycle as we do sometimes. This one's pretty simple, and it's a pretty slow entry because it comes just out of that bus stop chicane. So it'll be more the case of the fact that this is a long lap, and being able to have some clean air or break the toe, with an undercut or an overcut, can be what plays the crucial role in pit strategy today.
Yeah, I think I really think maybe Steven Thompson, if he's here tonight, he's going to be one of the people that tries that tricky pit strategy.
Unfortunately, Steven is not here.
Oh.
But I know we'll see. We'll see some. There's going to be some people trying to stretch it. There's definitely benefit to be gained by getting an extra lap on each stint here.
For sure, and we have former broadcaster and Pony Express legend Sam Cooper Bennett is in the chat with us tonight. So special shout out to him, who used to call all these races. He says Radion is still very dangerous, and I think we may see at least 1 or 2 people have trouble there tonight. Yeah,
it's at least flat out, but it's still one you got to pay attention to, and it's also one that if you get this, if you stay too far left, and maybe you do it because you're starting to lose the car a little bit, you will get a slowdown, and it's really painful to serve it, especially if you do it down the Kimmel Straight there. So it's certainly not an easy turn. It's one that's flat out, but drivers will have to be on their toes for it.
They definitely will. Like you said, slowing down on that straight is impossible. I still don't know what the best strategy is. Just hope you can make it to the end and lose it all in braking, or slowly bleed it off in the straight. There's a lot of ways to do it. I'm not sure which one's best, but it'll definitely cost you a lot of time.
Yeah, and this is certainly a track too that it can kind of be difficult to pass sometimes. It's such a long straight, but because of the Eau Rouge Radion turn complex before it, and like how much that aero wash can really mess you up there, it's hard to have the momentum coming down that straight to actually make a pass into Lake Home. In my experience, it's been a lot of side-by-side battling going into Lake Home chicane, and a lot of the times that's where the position's made on the lap, because it's actually surprisingly difficult to pass in the last half of the lap.
Yeah, after Puan, you've almost completely run out of opportunities, unless you're really, really brave. There's corners like curve of Paul Frere where you can kind of send it in there, but the other people have to be paying attention and know you're there as well.
Yeah, sometimes if you there can definitely be a difference in like the exit of Stavelo, which would come into drivers going side by side through Paul Frere, and then coming up to Blanchimont is just kind of a game of chicken on who's going to give up, because both you can't go side by side through there. So, and that's where part of the difficulty comes in passing. The bus stop chicane at the very end is extremely slow, and you can dive bomb that. But when you can't go side by side through the corner before it, you have to come from really far back or perfectly time your attack.
Yes, and now just an update on that pole. Daniel Real is kind of broken away from the rest of the pack now into the 216s, putting a 2/10 gap between him, and then another 2/10 gap between him and Mr. Michael.
Yeah, if Dan Real was, I mean, if we didn't have any of the GTD Pro or GTDM, he would be 4th overall right now. He has a really impressive 16.7 there. I mean, don't let the gap to Terry Calgary Jr. fool you. I mean, that puts Dan Real only behind Terry, Brad McCombs, and Nick Paletti.
Yeah, he's up there. Daniel Real will be starting 4th overall, and then a 3-car gap of pros back to Christopher Newby, and then another 4-car gap back to Marco Signoretti, sorry.
Yeah, the drivers at the top of GTDM are really slotting themselves into the pro field, and yeah, that can really help out at the start of the race when you have a little bit of a bumper and don't have to worry about actually racing the driver in front or behind you.
Oh, it's definitely a big help, and I think especially around here that sticking up front and out of the people where you have to battle is really, really going to help you, because if you have those people behind you diving in, costing you time, you have no chance of getting that extra lap out of the stint.
Yeah, it can really hurt. One thing I think is interesting, we like I said, I've been interested in looking at, what's the real life, track records from GT3 at these tracks. Almost everyone we've been to so far has been the Mercedes, and the Mercedes is definitely a favorite pick throughout the GTD-AM field. But the track record for GT3 at Spa is actually from 2020 in the McLaren, and I don't think we have any people driving the McLaren in this race.
I do not see it. Even Zachary Nurnberger, the Lamborghini specialist, is not in the Lamborghini tonight. He is in the Mercedes. So that's interesting. If he will break away from that Lamborghini, something's got to be up. There's got to be some sort of dominance in the Mercedes.
Well, yeah, he was talking I was listening to him talk earlier about how he just wasn't totally trusting of the Lamborghini. It was a little bit on edge, and he didn't really want that going through turns like Radillon and Blanchimont.
Yeah, it can be sketchy, but I've actually never driven the Lamborghini, so I don't know how it handles, but I'd assume it's one of the more on-edge cars like the Audi and what's the other one? The Ford.
It's definitely not nearly as bad as those. It's more similar to the McLaren in my opinion, in my experience at least. But it's not as stable as these favorites that we see, in all of these races for Pony Express with the Mercedes, the Ferrari, and the BMW. Like those are favorites for a reason. And the Porsche is kind of tough to drive, but has potential. And again, we see first place in GTD Pro in the Porsche, and second place in GTD-AM in the Porsche.
Yeah, the Porsche is one of those cars where it's those people that really, really love to drive it, and they just know how to get all of the pace out of it every time. But definitely sketchy in the rear end sometimes. As Terry Calgary Jr. takes a big hop there on that curb.
Yeah, and just as a quick update, as we get ready for the start procedures, I did want to mention the no passing rule for today. That'll be until the Lake Home chicane. So, again, the start line is different than the finish line at this track, and after the green will come right there where the camera is right now, and they won't be able to pass until the right-hander at the end of the really, really long Kimmel Straight.
So that'll hopefully reduce any incidents. However, that right-hander is a very, very dangerous corner on lap 1. Cold tires and everybody's ambitious. Luckily, with our rule, people that do cause problems on lap 1 will get an end-of-line penalty for next race. And I don't think we have any active suspensions or penalties for this race.
No, we do not. No end of lines for today. It's great to see. We've only had a couple all season long, and they both came from Nürburgring, which is 8 minutes long, so that's fair.
Yes, it is. All right, qualifying. We've had the checkered flag, so everybody will just finish their lap, and we'll see the grid procedure start.
Yeah, it's a pretty long lap. It's over 2 minutes, so there's really not many tracks we're going to see this season longer than this, other than Nürburgring and Bathurst, Bathurst might be around the same time.
So here is Daniel Hingley looking to improve his time. He's got 2 yellow sectors and 1 green. Maybe he can squeeze out that 4th place with a 2/10 gain, but I'm not sure. It's not looking too good for him right now. Another green, so he could be just about equal to this last time. We'll have to see in about 2 seconds when he crosses the line.
Nope.
Not going to improve.
No,
there it is.
Delayed. Up
He,
1.
He gained those 2/10. He's now up in P4, which will put him directly next to Christopher Newby. And hopefully give them a good chance there. So, let us take a look at the gridding results right here. Maybe. We'll get the gridding results once they load up.
Yeah, I think it's not officially over yet. Do we still have drivers on track?
I do not believe so.
Interesting. All right. Well, maybe these. I think the drivers in the pits are holding us up here. My thing says 20 seconds remaining, so we just have to wait that out. But this will be a really good race. The starting in the nighttime, and then it's currently 4:30 in the sim, and then the time is quadruple speed. So we'll certainly get to full daytime. Midway through the race, it's a fun little twist to the race because some drivers certainly excel in night driving conditions, and things may flip on their head a little bit once we get to the end of the race.
There we go. So we'll run through our grid real quick here. Terry Calgary Jr. takes pole with a 2:15.8, followed by Brad McCombs, Nick Paletti. Daniel Real takes a astonishing pole for GTD Am, followed by Aaron Claybaugh, Matthias Ackrich, Paul Skip, Patrick Ripley, John Kelly, second for GTD Am, Tyler Langenberg, Christopher Newby, and then Daniel Hingley.
Following up after that, we have our sole legend competitor, Dennis Diaz, followed by Tony Watson, Marco Signoretti, Adrian Garcia Vigil, Will Borland, Richard Curry, Michael Della Sala, Zach Nurnberger, Andrew Neri, James Kingsbury, Brian Glover, and Marcus Osborne in 24th.
Following them, we've got Christopher Craig, Sasha Kempter, Gareth McAllister, Mark Dillon Jr., James Foreman, Antoine DeCash, Daniel Barnett, Dave Ferrara, Steven Shepard, and Atticus Middleton. Now that is a big field here at Spa tonight. 34 cars. I'm impressed.
Yeah, and I people might be wondering, we got a front runner, Ryan Tyler, who he wasn't able to make it today, and then we also have a podium sitter from last week, another high level competitor in GTD Pro, Paul Boyle, also not here. So this is a tough one for the drivers to miss and have a drop week on, because it's a really big field, and you're not going to get very many points for missing this week.
No, you will not. So that could shake up the championship, although for those high-level drivers, this probably will be a drop week anyway. But only
it's a little interesting seeing it's a little more mixed up than I thought it would be. This is a classic endurance track. It's been it's been one that people do 24-hour races on for a very long time. Everyone in this field has probably run it at some point. And it's interesting seeing we got a little bit of mix-up. Like Tyler Langenberg is back there in 8th with Patrick Ripley in 7th ahead of him. Nicholas Paletti is running higher in 3rd there than he has for most of the season. He obviously won last season by a lot in E4A, but yeah, interesting little lineup that we got there.
Yeah, now a fun fact about Patrick Ripley, despite winning Daytona by a huge margin and just being an absolute alien, he's only got 900 I rating.
I don't know if that's totally representative for his skill.
No, I would not say so, but we've got all sorts of people in here. Most of the pros are either above 2,000 or champions or applied for the pro card. But no, Patrick's down in 900 I rating, which is, it's fun to see, interesting to see how he still has those good results.
Another fun little fact there for you is that this was Terry Calgary Jr.'s first pole of the year.
There you go. So let's see how he can do as he leads them off. We'll be going green in just a second here. There it goes. Gets a nice start, although it doesn't really matter because nobody's going to be passing towards the end of that straight up here. Seems like everybody takes it nice and clean through Eau Rouge and Radion.
Yeah, it's nice being able to take it half speed on your first run through.
And there they all go. Looks like Brad McCombs wanted to size up a move, but decided not yet. Into that
Brad McCombs
chicane.
definitely aggressive.
Along with Tyler Langenberg there, looking to get past the GTD Am of John Kelly there. Lots of exchanges.
Racing Calgary hard right now.
All over the field, we've got people side by side going into that downhill right-hander.
One of my least favorite turns in
Oh,
all of racing.
it is a not fun turn. Just the way the corner is designed and how it opens up. But yeah, Brad McCombs right on the back there at Terry Calgary Jr.
Yeah, driving a lot more aggressively than we've seen from most drivers through the first laps of these races this season. He definitely wants to get in front. He goes a little bit wide there, maybe even got an off track from that.
Yeah, I mean, he lost that win at Nürburgring. I think he wants it back now, as that is Marco Cingaretti into the pits. Not sure I see what happened to him, but he has towed.
Did he start from the bit? He had to disconnect and reconnect like during the grid procedure. Oh man, Brad, close.
Possibly could have done it.
Brad is swinging out left and right. He's giving Terry.
That is Tyler
every
Langenberg
minute.
on John Kelly. Not gonna make the move though. Ooh, in the background there's more action as well. Side by side, Daniel Hingley and Will Borland, along with Tony Watson in there. Tony Watson and Will Borland side by side for class.
It's nice to be on the inside of turn one. That's where you want to be. Well, not if you make a little mistake there. Good
That
save.
looks like
but, that hurts.
Borland got it there because of that mistake that he made. Now they're all side by side going into Eau Rouge and
Brad Jones
Radion.
is pulling out for the lead. He's pulling out for the lead.
We'll
Side by
see
side
them
going
out
to
up front.
home. Brad's he's gonna be fully ahead by the time they get in this braking zone.
Ooh, that is not what we want to see.
Little
There we
bit
go.
Deep. Goes a little bit deep, but he's all right.
He makes that move
great
happen.
pass.
Dennis Diaz there racing Christopher Newby. Interesting that
Dennis not being scored for any points.
Interesting that Dennis is not further up the field with his legend title.
I know he's got to live up to it.
Those white headlights there is the Ford of Gareth McAllister, the only car without yellow headlights with the IMSA branding, because it's not really used in the IMSA series. But look just how close everybody is. That's James Kingsbury in that Martini there, along with who is that? It's hard to tell when it's so dark out. James Kingsbury, Michael Della Sala, and Marcus Osborne's in that mix too, in that orange Mercedes. He didn't even have time to throw paint on it.
Yeah, I know. It's not the USPS. Yeah, I didn't even recognize that was.
Oh, and James Kingsbury gets turned into, let's see, Christopher Craig is off track. James Kingsbury.
That involved a lot.
Will Borland maybe.
Kempter was involved in that. Della Sala.
Unfortunate. Let's take another look at that one there.
Kingsbury, Craig.
So it looks like Kingsbury just goes into that BMW there and takes Christopher Craig with him, and that red car
Della
there.
Sala comes. I don't know. That's kind of a tough one. That's a tough one. That's an early lap thing. I do think that's maybe a little bit on Kingsbury. How Della Sala was already ahead of him, but
there's Nurnberger and the heel. Slight contact. Nobody's in serious trouble, but definitely not what you want to see. As Nurnberger's going to take that spot now. Rial sizing up the move down the straight, however. He's looking to pass Nick Paletti. And by the time they get to the braking zone...
No, can't quite do it.
Not
Paletti.
brave enough. Paletti is really... Oh, Clayball. Apologies. Clayball is very good on the brakes. Paletti is just in front of him.
Yeah, that one's... the great part about that corner is that there's really no... You can be on either side and win through there. There's no preferred way. It's just... You got to be brave on either end of it.
You do, indeed. Now here we see Daniel Hingley. This is one of those corners coming up where you got to be very, very brave. This is Puan. Now, you can make a move down into here, but the question is, do you make a move down into here? Because it's a very, very, very fast left-hander where you can stick it up the inside and force other people to brake, but it might not work out in your favor.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that you're able to do that. It's such a short run from No Name Corner, the previous one, that it doesn't usually happen that often. But after Puan, because it's really easy to take that faster than your opponent, you can definitely make a move into Lefania.
Here we see Brad McCombs is chasing down Terry Cowger Jr. once again as Terry took the lead back. He's got that overspeed in the draft. They're going to be going into the bus stop for chicane. Brad can't make anything of it, though. Back here, we'll see Will Borland making the move on Daniel Hingley, not for position in class. And he's just going to get it done, even though he went a little bit wide. Ooh, but a little contact there on exit as Hingley had so much more speed.
Yeah, Hingley still in fourth from where he qualified, but he surely wants to try to make his way up to newbie for sure.
This is Dave Ferrara and Sasha Kempter having a little fight into the bus stop there, but nothing will come of it. All of these cars here were involved in that crash.
Interesting decision there. He had the inside and he went outside. I feel like... Oh, the drivers on the inside are getting a little bit loose. All right, Brad McCombs was not able to get by on the straight this time, and he's going to sit behind Terry Cowger Jr. again for this lap.
Yeah, Christopher Craig maybe wanted to use that the slipstream, but can he make it work? I don't know. Meanwhile, Zach Nurnberger and Andrew Neri. Nurnberger can't get it done. He's surrounded by pros. Marcus Osborne and Andrew Neri back to front respectively.
Yeah, and then he's got people that he's competing with on each side of those drivers. So trying not to lose too much time with the guys he's not racing, but he's not far away from the guys that he is. He's just not next to them.
Yeah, we'll take a look here at how they stand overall. And, yeah, they're definitely mixed up a little bit. It's not like we've seen in previous races where the top 10 are all pro.
Yeah, I know. It's really surprising me. I thought that the tracks that were more endurance mainstays would be ones where it was more separate, rather than the some of the more niche tracks. But now this is drivers having to, and that's what you have to do in endurance. You have to manage your pace and not lose time to their classes. Man, Brad is close. They look like they were together in the same spot there.
Yeah, this is some amazing racing out in front.
Brad is comfortable following. There's no question about that. I don't have that level of confidence that he does.
Especially through
by far.
Especially through Blanchimont, where it is just so tight. And if you just lose the rear end the tiniest bit, you're flying through there. You will not make it out alive.
Yeah, it can end your race. I will say though that on the high downforce, it is a little bit of a snooze. It's not too hard to get the car to stick. Doing like a low downforce, you sweat it every time you go through there though.
Look at that, John Kelly and Dennis Diaz, really close.
He's getting racy. Kelly's gonna have the overspeed here though, it looks like.
Keep in mind they are not racing each other.
But Dennis is not racing anybody, so.
Yes. Dennis is in a race of his own. But we also don't have Nick Terrell here tonight, who is another legend who does sometimes pop in and give him a race, but he must be at the kickball.
Oh, is Newbie going to make a move into Bruxelles here for second place? Oh, not quite.
Almost.
Was close enough to do it if he really wanted to, but it is early. And it's dark. Again, the drivers it's even the best drivers. It is real that these drivers' confidence is lower, at nighttime.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's harder to see, especially in a poo on this corner right here. My braking point is on that wall and that fence, which at night you have about 0.3 of a second to spot it, and then it's gone. So driving at night, there's some people that know it well and they can do it, and some people that just can't nail it every time. That's Marcus Osborne there going around the outside into the inside, almost makes it stick.
Yeah,
he's gonna have the
run. Not a lot of racing through that chicane, and now you can see why.
But now Marcus Osborne and Zachary Nurnberger are racing for class here, and Zach just gets a little bit too much curb, and that's gonna cost him that run there.
It's funny, we saw it just right there. We saw a couple examples of when not to battle on this track, and we saw multiple drivers there losing momentum and position, trying to go side by side when it's just better to wait for the next spot.
I apologize. Zachary Nurnberger was not racing for position there. He is a amateur driver. I had it in my head that he was pro. But here we go. Daniel Hingley, who looks to be damaged there.
Oh, wow.
With a little broken wing. We see that's Daniel Barnett, Christopher Craig, and Dave Ferrara all weaving around him.
That was quite confident there. That was by Christopher Craig there. He was all over the track. But, he made it through.
Yes, he did. We'll see Daniel Hingley into the pits, and we'll see just how long it really does take. Of course, his stop will be a little bit longer because he has to take a faster pair and fuel up. But
looking at the pro lead, it's interesting seeing, how Terry Kyer Jr. had pole by a bunch. Brad was able to get his way around at the start of the second lap, start of the third lap. They swap positions again, and Brad McCombs has been stuck behind the whole time. Now, he's only half a second, and so he's certainly a lot closer in pace to Terry right now than they were in qualifying, because Terry was like 0.6 faster per lap. But it's interesting to see that they're not swapping positions lap after lap. Brad's kind of stuck behind right now.
Yes, he is. Now, we're going to take a look at our good old cockpit driver cam here. This is a first on the Pony Express channel. We could take a look at what some of the drivers are seeing. This is how it looks for Steven Shepard. He's got his face cam there and his wheel. Just puts into perspective what you can actually see when you're in that cockpit. It's not as much as you'd think. You can't look around if you're not using VR, so you really got to set your field of view up just perfectly.
Yeah, I don't know how many monitors he runs on. I run on a single, and, you know, there's certainly times where I feel the negative effects of having such a low visibility, but it's something that you got to get used to. But battling is pretty tough when you're not in VR, and you can see that you have, like you said, pretty limited view of the track.
Yes, you do, and you'll see somebody's actually side by side. You can't see him until he reappears there, and he's already ahead of you. So, really, really interesting to watch for somebody who doesn't sim race as often. Back to the race, however, back to the out front race. Matthias Akrich and Aaron Klebar are going to go at it into the chicane in GTD Pro, but Akrich just, he forces Klebar into the grass. Well, not forces, but sends him into the grass, and Klebar is going to lose a lot of spots because of that. There he is, getting passed by Dennis Diaz in the meme M4.
Yeah, watching back row, that was 100% on Klebar, just sending it too deep on the defense. He didn't get forced off or anything once you look at the other angles. But luckily he didn't have any damage or anything. Did lose a couple positions though, unfortunately.
Yes, possibly my wording was a bit incorrect there, but okay, it won't give us the good old cockpit view for that. But he went off, and no real damage, just loss of time.
Yeah, and actually, it shouldn't be too bad for him because he got passed by Dennis, who's not scored for points. He did get passed by Tyler Langenberg there, but didn't lose too many positions. Is still there on the back and can try to use Dennis's toe to get a little bit ahead.
He can, but it does put another car between him and the guy he is racing.
Yeah, on the AM, it's
three wide almost.
Side by side.
Ooh, that is close between Dennis Diaz and Tyler Langenberg. And Langenberg's going to make the move stick almost. He's going to force Dennis off track.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Dennis brave to stay in there.
Now we'll see into the La Source. Looks like Dennis might have this, but we've seen the inside line get a little squirrely before.
This is really good racing.
Take a look at that cockpit view as we go up to the hill.
They got to get line,
okay. Dennis falling back. And just how flat out and uphill that is. Really,
it looks like
really
Klebar has even more speed than both of them as well.
Yeah, he's got that double slipstream. They're going to block up most of the middle track, so he's going to have to make it work all the way on the left side.
Wow, Klebar nearly got to the point that he was side by side with Langenberg, but has to abandon it. Almost goes a little bit deep there again.
Wow, this is some great racing. Further down the field, though, we are starting to get a little more of a spread between cars. Unlike out in front.
That's what I was going to bring attention to. Is interesting with the GTD AM field. We saw it really close in qualifying, but currently there's a gap between third and fourth of 10 seconds. So the podium positions have really separated themselves in the AM class right now with Dan Real, John Kelly, and Christopher Newby.
They sure have. This is Christopher Craig and Daniel Barnett down here in 8th, going at it. No move was made there, but I'm sure Christopher Craig's going to want to get back up and ahead of Daniel Barnett pretty soon.
Yeah, he was involved in that collision that had four or five drivers in Lafanya.
Yeah, no aero damage, but you can definitely see the side of his car there. It's a little scraped up, a little paint damage, but nothing too bad. Just cost him a lot of time now.
Yeah, still, and when we're looking at these gaps up here between the driver, a lot of we see like 1-2 seconds between a lot of them. That's because they got other class drivers in between them. It's still a pretty layered field, and we're seeing drivers from different classes getting in the way of each other.
Slide on that car. Will Borland just really wrestling that thing through, but that's John Kelly and Will Borland going at it into turn one, not for class position. And John Kelly's just going to let him through as Christopher Newby in the background looks, oh, maybe I should take that spot, but doesn't have quite as much time as he thought.
Yeah, Kelly's losing touch from Real ahead a little bit for the AM lead.
He definitely is. You take a look, that's a 5-second gap, but in terms of cars between each other, Daniel Real has 5 cars between him and second place. So he's in a really nice spot right now, knock on wood, for a runaway and just get away from the traffic.
Yeah, not only does he have all those cars between him, but even like actually looking at him on track, he's not too close to the guy ahead. Dennis Diaz is maybe like a second behind or something like that. He's not even being pressured right now, so this is definitely going to be a good phase for Real to try to keep the momentum going for the rest of the race.
Ooh, is that Christopher Craig finally getting past Daniel Barnett into the Lacombe chicanes? I believe he did. Zach Nurnberger had a problem.
I think Barnett may have let him by. I can't tell. He kind of really slowed down. I think maybe he just got some oversteer and then let off.
This is Dennis Diaz going off track. We already saw this. This was just him being pushed off. Looks like
a little feisty.
Richard Curry also had a problem up at the Lacombe chicane. A little bit too much, but he's all right. Similar to what Claybaugh did earlier. And, ooh, Christopher Newby and all sorts of people. John Kelly and Will Borland all really close to each other, I believe. Patrick Ripley in the background. Wow. Are they getting up close and personal? Will Borland up ahead as well is fighting with Aaron Claybaugh.
Yeah, they are next to each other.
Patrick Ripley finding his way through all that John Kelly just did not see Hingley there and turns right into him. But Patrick Ripley, through that little mess of traffic there, he made up quite a few track positions. And now a few bit up. But Paul Skip, hate to cut away. We'll go right back to that. Paul Skip, what happened to him? Oh, he's that Ferrari? I thought that was Hingley. Apologies. But here, we'll join them at the end of the straight.
Yeah, he posted sorry on the text chat. It was a little hopeful for him to send it there. Luckily, it looks like both drivers got away with it okay, though.
Yeah, here's Glover. Oh, Glover and Curry for position. Ryan Glover is going to come out on the short end of the stick there. But here we go. Daniel Barnett, James Foreman, and Zachary Nurnberger. Ooh,
that one was one where Curry did force Glover off the track there, unfortunately.
Zachary Nurnberger is not in this group. Apologies.
It's dark. I'll
But very tight racing, even at the back of the field, down in 9th, 10th place in GTD AM.
I will claim I made the prediction that we'd find a driver backwards in turn 8. We have not. So I was wrong. No one has spun in the second part of Lacombe, but we've had plenty of people going deep in the first part. So credit.
We haven't seen it yet. Here's Tony Watson. Now that's a more typical spin that we see for Mercedes, but that Porsche with the heavy rear end going around out of that double right-hander.
Yeah, it's going into campus, which that's just one that, especially if you go into it too fast, you can definitely drive you get a little bit too aggressive on trying to slow it down because you're afraid of going out wide. And I think that maybe is what happened there, is just a little bit of understeer and kind of induced the spin.
Let's take a look. Daniel Barnett on Dave Ferrara right behind him through this whole section here. And now James Foreman wants to join the party as well.
And Foreman going way out wide to try to maximize the speed, but had to totally check up right there.
Yeah, wow.
Barnett.
That's some pretty nice racing back there. Check back in on them in a second. Christopher Newby on what looks to be Patrick Ripley on Christopher Newby. Wanting to get by, flashing his lights, but just Christopher says nope, not
right
your
now.
time.
Right now, Brad's about as close to Terry as he's been for the last 8 or 9 laps or so, going through Puhan right now, but really hounding him after they were able to get through the Kimmel Straight. But he still hasn't really been able to make a move on him. But yeah, you can see that it's been very close.
It definitely has. That's what the time delta looks like. It's been coming down a slight bit, and nothing happening just yet, though.
Yeah, looking at the lap time, so Brad's fastest is a 2:16.2, and his qualifying time is a 2:16.5. So somehow through a 40-minute session, he wasn't able to put in a faster lap than he already has. So he unlocked something, because Terry's fastest lap is 2:16.3 for the race. Brad found something for his race pace today.
Interesting. This is the story down here on the right of Matthias Ackrich and Tyler Langenberg. Tyler has been catching him for the past 3 or 4 laps, and now he's right in that striking distance. But hold on, Tony Watson getting passed by Daniel Hingley. I think that's because of his spin we saw earlier.
Yeah, he does have some
Patrick
damage.
Ripley, though, what happened to him? This looks like the bus stop. Into the pit lane.
That's playing. Oh, he has some damage on the rear left, though. This might be like, in the schedule, but I don't think he wanted to pit exactly now. But yeah, I see some damage that he has in the rear left. And I'm not really sure where that came from.
So I believe this is similar to Long Beach, where they go just slow enough to trigger my crash sensor in the pit lane, pit entrance.
Looks to be so.
And a quick shout out for Dennis Diaz's paint, the Meme M4, painted by none other than Sam Cooper Bennett.
It's seen a lot of checkered flags. It's won a lot of races.
It surely has. Ooh, that's Richard Curry.
Oh, that was close. That was a good save.
Barely saving it there, but a nice save. Nick Paletti, followed by Dennis Diaz. And there's that Ford. Gareth McAllister.
Yeah, he's been using it every race. Only driver who's stuck with it.
Yeah, and props to him. It's not the easiest car to drive. But, ooh, out in front, look at Terry Calver Jr. and Brad McCombs. Closest they've been yet.
Yeah, we'll see if he can make it any more than just being close. He's been close for a long time, but he hasn't been able to get side by side yet.
This might be his lap.
Can't do it here, but if he takes this turn 1 or this final turn in turn 1 well, it's just so tough. You really get
Into the pits they both go, but look behind, and that's Dennis and Nick. Dennis is going to get it. I think they're both going into the pits anyways. Take note, it's about 27 minutes into the race when everybody's going in. So,
yeah, it makes sense. It's a lot of on throttle, And it's been with 50% fuel tanks. I mean, that tracks. I just wasn't. I don't think I was paying attention to the clock very much. So Patrick Ripley's pit, that was probably completely normally in schedule.
yes, maybe just trying somewhat alternative strategy. But we're going to see everybody going into that pit. Now, if somebody spins in there or has some sort of mistake, as it looks like that 008 car of Ryan Glover taps the wall.
Yeah, I mean, you got the walls on both sides for sure.
If somebody spins or has some sort of issue, you're going to be stuck behind them. You can't go through, especially in that hairpin when the track turns. So it'll be interesting to watch. Ooh, that's no fun. The BMW there goes around and collects a few people, and now the 14th place car of Steven Shepard has to go around again. Can he make it?
I think he was a lap down, so yeah, I think he's able to do it.
He is. A few people went around again, including Dave Ferrara and Daniel Real. Let's take a look at just how sketchy this pit exit can be. You're going out of there at full throttle with a full tank of fuel. I mean, maybe not on the high downforce. I haven't driven on this, but it's kind of sketchy in the race trim.
Yeah, it is. It does help with being high downforce, and again, a full tank of fuel for this series is just a half tank, so it does help kind of mitigate some of the scariness with that.
Yes.
Yeah, Dave Ferrara did stay out as an on-lap driver, and he was involved in that collision there in the bus stop. I wonder if he wanted to pit, but then felt that he wasn't able to, or if he had the fuel to make it the whole time. I'm watching him just to see if he's having some issues with the fuel or anything trying to make this lap go.
Well, I guess we'll find out sooner or later. Now people are leaving the pit lane, taking about a minute and 30 seconds in there. If you remember back to Long Beach, people took about 50 seconds. So that's an extra 40 seconds to your stop. I mean, everybody has to do it, but it's still a long pit lane. So drive-throughs, which track limits here can be tricky, drive-throughs at that 20 incident mark is not going to be fun.
Given how close they were coming in, you know, Brad McCombs lost a lot of time. I mean, a whole second during that pit cycle there, considering he was right on the bumper at Terry Kiger Jr. Now he's got, you know, he's looking at him down the road a little bit. It hurts.
Yeah. Now, Daniel Real, who was out in front by a decent margin, is now almost 9 seconds.
Oh, John Kelly just wrecked.
John Kelly. Let's take a look at him.
I didn't even use Puhan, just some slight oversteer, and then completely got stuck on the inside and had to wait for everybody to go by.
That's Neri going around him there. But yeah,
just lost it a little bit on the first half of the corner. It's a really tough one if you take too much speed in.
Yeah, Dave Ferrara finally into the pits. No, yes, into the pits. Looks like he made it around with enough fuel to me. Worked out very nicely for him. Gareth McAllister here with Sasha Kempter. And that's also Mark Dillon Jr. behind it. In a BMW. That's unlike him.
Yeah, I know. He was talking about the pick earlier. Looking at the incidents right now, we do have well, the aforementioned John Kelly there. He's at 19. Gail Hingley's at 17. We have a few pro guys, Borland, Watson, Skip. They're all at 13.
Claybaugh and Patrick Ripley, hold on. Patrick coming from way behind makes it work. Go ahead.
No, yeah, it was really aggressive going on the inside there. And like I said, that sometimes you just got to have confidence. And I think Claybaugh maybe got a little hesitant with the mistake that he had made on the outside of that corner earlier in the race. It seemed like he was taking it a little bit slow there just to make sure he didn't go off track again.
Yeah, but a really nice move overall. Christopher Craig here and Daniel Hingley. Wow, they are nice and close. Christopher Craig comes out on top.
Yeah, looking at these, there's not going to be many drivers that finish with the safety points here. There's a bunch of people already on the edge. Mark Dillon Jr. is the only driver with 0 incidents still. Most have 6 or 7 or 8, and that 8 is the limit. So we're going to see a lot missing those points today.
Yeah, incident points were a big thing in the 24 hours. I know we had to limit ourselves to good old 4 per hour, I think was our number, around there. And I drove 6 hours with a total of 6 incidents. I was very proud of that, and 4 of them were from somebody dive bombing me. But around here, it's so easy to just dip a tire off and poo on or no name, and that's an X, and you only got 7 left.
Yeah, a lot of corners where you can go wide and get the point.
Take a look at how spread out everybody is on that track map. Look at Terry and Brad so far ahead, and then Dennis behind. That's really interesting to look at there.
Not surprising to see Dennis have made his way up. You know, we mentioned that he qualified further back than we expected. Not surprising there to see him third. But yeah, I mean those top 2. Last time I looked, last time I looked, actually Paletti was the driver that was in third, but it was like a 10-second gap to third, and now it's over 12 seconds. They're in a whole different league. But yeah, Langenberg got around Paletti at some point that I never caught.
Interesting. Well, let's take a look at what happened to Dave Ferrara. May just be him pitting again. Yes. And Steven Shepard, who was in the middle of a blink when something happened.
And to go back to the Tyler Langenberg, again, that was the driver that we highlighted as qualifying a lot lower than we probably expected, and he's already made his way up to third. He qualified, I believe, it was 10th overall, and I believe it was 8th in class. But he's made his way up to the podium spot. Of course, you know, well off of Brad McCombs in second, but that's pretty impressive to have already made his way up through some really strong drivers.
Yeah, very impressive. That's an easy place to get off track there. Daniel Real just picked one up. Just go a little bit too wide there, and you'll have another point to your name.
Yeah, like, you know, it doesn't look that bad, and that's the kind of stuff that's going to be racking up. And again, we have some drivers that are certainly trending towards a drive-through penalty. And you know, we just mentioned that a pit stop, of course, you sit still for a while, a minute and a half. I mean, a drive-through is race ender. It's really rough.
Yeah, I took one in my first race here in Pony Express. It was not good. I think it was speeding in the pit lane, actually, not any incident points. But I was on track for my best finish yet in Pony Express, maybe I think 8th or something, and then it all went downhill there.
Oh, you know, we didn't catch this. It was a little bit ago. I just wanted to. Dave Ferrara, he lost in poo on head to toe, so he's still waiting on his car to get fixed there in the pits, but he's just leaving now. So that's a bummer on him having to tow during this race.
Yes, it is.
Side by side through the cone.
It doesn't even tell me that he went off track. It's just he left the pits and then he jumped the pit lane. He's out of the pit lane
looking
now,
really
3
confident.
minutes.
Will Borland's looking really confident in that Mercedes right now. Certainly looked strong through that chicane there.
Yes, he is. We'll take a look back at him after we see Gareth McAllister on Sasha Kempter.
Woo, he's pinching him.
And into the wall.
Oh, Kempter.
Oh. That is not what you want to see.
I don't know if there was collision there. If there wasn't, I'm confused on why he had went out to the wall. But yeah, maybe there was a slight little bump.
Take a look at that in just a second here. Here's what happened with Sasha. Side by side, yeah, just the tiniest bit of a turn in on him there.
There's no
runoff.
He goes. It's just the wall.
Yeah, it's not a place that you generally see people crashing in. It's just the nature of that collision there sent him out.
Yeah, it seemed like McAllister was pinching pretty hard at the start. I didn't think from the view that we had first saw that there was any collision, though.
No.
That's Akrish there. That's him quote-unquote defending from GTD AM leader Dan Real, who is 9 seconds ahead of Christopher Newby. So huge gap for first place. And again, we know that Christopher Newby has pace, wherever we've been this season. So really impressive drive from Dan Real, who we've seen pace from throughout the season, but I don't think the results have been what he wanted every time.
No, I don't think it's gone how he's wanted, but take a look. Christopher Newby is still leading in GTD Pro, followed by James Foreman. Mark Dillon Jr., who's taken 2 wins, is down in 3rd.
Foreman's been one of the most consistent drivers in the AM field.
That is, Patrick Ripley just getting sent a little bit on a trip there. But
whoa, Real came really close to losing it there at the end of Lake Home. Wow, that was that was impressive. That was a crazy save.
Saw the dirt flying up there as well. Let's see if we can take another look at that.
It didn't go off track, so I don't know if it would have flagged you. That was crazy.
Yeah, looked just from what we could see in that dirt there, it looked pretty crazy.
But yeah, Dan Real is a driver. He has a pole this season. He has 2 fastest laps, both at VIR and Long Beach, but he doesn't have any podiums yet, and he doesn't have any career wins either. So this is his best chance so far for sure, when he's got the pace and a huge lead.
Yeah, he's sitting down in 8th in the Drivers' Championship. I think he's taken, 2 or 3 provisionals, so obviously not the greatest track record this season, but it's a long season ahead of us. I think he's got the pace to be up there fighting for the title. Now, over in the pro category, Terry Calgary Jr., who leads, is only down in 6th, with Nicholas Paletti leading, followed by Tyler Langenberg, and then Paul Boyle. So
yeah, Terry's had some stuff happen out of his control for sure, but that's the generosity of the 4 drop weeks, which we're just kind of mentally juggling where that all shakes out until we get to the last few races of the season.
Yeah, and that's interesting because we saw Ryan Tyler and Patrick Ripley dominating that first race and somewhat up there in that second race. And now they are not even near that top 3. Well, Ryan Tyler's in 4th, but Patrick Ripley's down in 8th.
Yeah, Patrick's had a few rough races. I know we've done some track. He doesn't like doing the Nürburgring. It's not that is. And then I know early on, despite putting in a really good qual lap, had an incident that kind of derailed his VIR race. So, but again, things can change on a dime. We're on race 6, and considering that almost every race up to now, with 4 drops, I mean, if you really had a bad start to the season, you can still completely turn it around for a win.
Definitely can. Daniel Real takes an off track there as his name goes red for a minute. I wonder how many off tracks is he at? Do you know?
Looking at Real, he's all right. His incident total is 4. He's the 3rd least in the field, which by the way, no one's at 0 anymore. But yeah, he's one of the cleanest drivers on the track right now.
Good to know. He's really looking good out there in front. Fits him.
Yeah, he's lost a little bit of his gap to
oh, there's another
behind,
one, by the way.
Yeah, he's not going to be afraid. Actually, he didn't get one for that, surprisingly.
He didn't. Interesting.
No, that was about as much as you could do, I guess.
Yeah, it looked pretty off track to me, and his name went red. SDK registered it as off track, but lucky for him.
Yeah, he and Christopher Newby both only have 4 incidents. Some really clean drivers are at Anfield. No, can't quite do it there.
He's looking to put another car between him and Christopher Newby. Take a look at how they stack up overall.
He's got 4 drivers between him, when you include De La Sala, who I believe is on a lap down, I think.
Possibly, yes.
Yes, he is. He's the first driver of lap down. So he's also got that between him and Newbie.
So it's getting brighter out now, so the track will warm up a little bit. But along with that, we've got Christopher Newby getting passed, maybe, by...
That's Borland on Real.
Oh, yep, wrong person. Borland on Real is what I meant to say.
Yeah, Real just trying not to lose time. Ackridge goes real wide there. That was for sure an off track. Lost some time. Borland now can immediately go to the attack on Ackridge.
Tony Watson and Ryan Glover. Tony Watson just absolutely steaming through. Possibly Glover let him through because they are not going for position there. But looks like he came from nowhere and made it his own spot.
Yeah, that first pit cycle certainly, you're seeing such close battles through GTDM in the first bit of this race and through qualifying. Unfortunately, a lot of those gaps have gotten pretty large here. It's certainly a track where, with all these corners, really easy to separate yourself from other drivers pace-wise, which, again, speaking of which, it hasn't been much, but Brad McCombs has fallen off more from Terry Cowger, while they've both pulled further away from Tyler Langenberg in third.
They have indeed. Now look at this.
Oh, Borland, man, you can't go there. Yeah, I had to. That was good defense by Ackridge. Ackridge, you know, he occupied the part of the track that he wanted, and you just can't go to the right of there, and that's where Borland wanted to go, but Ackridge knew that.
But wow, are they close? And especially Borland with that bravery there, really hanging it out behind him. Zach Nurnberger though, possibly into the pits.
Yeah, Nurnberger was running in third, so yeah, hopefully there wasn't any big incident he had. Yeah, just
Into the pits.
Which, by the way, even iRacing messes that up. If you know when you're playing with like the crew chief, you just get every time that someone pits, you get a notification that someone went off in the final corner.
I remember that.
Will Borland, yep, there we go. He's going to be able to make a pretty aggressive move here because he's going to be well in the advantage here, maybe even completely ahead. Let's see. Yeah, yep. He's going to be well ahead of Ackridge here. Now Ackridge is just going to try to, he's going to want to follow through this very technical part of the track and try to make a move on the next attack zone. But it's tough. If you get past there, you got to do a lot of following. And if you don't have the pace, that might have been your last chance.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where following is relatively easy, but not when you get to corners like Puan. I mean, you can't see much, obviously, with this. Gyro is a bit more wide and opened up, but you can't see a lot when you're right on the bumper. You've really got to spot those points to get the corner perfect. So, kind of go back off
I don't
a
know
little
if
bit.
I would agree. I think it's a tough one to follow. And you got corners like Puan and Blanchimont. I think Fania back there, a really fast chicane. It's tough to have the bravery to just stick on the rear bumper of the guy in front.
Yes.
I mean, we have seen Ackridge fall a little bit away. Next passing zone is into the bus stop, and he's not going to be close enough there. So just hope that that's not his last opportunity in this battle between these two drivers.
Yeah, we'll see them come together again for sure. But just look at this nice view. I love the interior of the Porsche and the dashboard. This is Tony
Glover's
Watson's car.
probably going to be coming into the pit this lap, I would imagine.
Only about 20 minutes later after our first round of pits.
No, maybe I was wrong. I'm trying to, because I thought that he was further down than that before, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention to him charging up through the field. Yeah, if that's the net position, we know that Zach Nurnberger pit early. I don't know if that was by strategy or if he was forced to do that. But third place is a really good position for Ryan Glover right now, ahead of some drivers that we know have done well before: Christopher Craig, Josh Kelly, Zach Nurnberger, and Kelly is one who also was up near the front at the start of this race, but he has he definitely has time to make it up.
Yeah, I'd say about 2 laps, maybe 3 laps even, until we see another round of pit stops. It was about 27 minutes in, so it'll be around
55.
Yeah.
Newbie has now cut down, it looks like 2 seconds on Daniel Real. So maybe Real's lead is not quite as safe as we initially assumed. I don't know if Real's coming to some traffic or something, but
this is Atticus Middleton here.
It's got to be stressful.
Blanchimont. Ooh, that's a nice camera angle.
A little bit too inside. Yeah, it shouldn't have been on the inside there. Oh man, that's a big wreck.
Now that's what we were talking about earlier with the scariness of Blanchimont. Atticus Middleton.
Yeah, I mean you want to be out wide there. If you stay on the inside, you can't do it.
Gave us a nice demonstration, but nope. Getting a little bit on that curb there, like Zach's saying, just won't do it for you.
Still waiting for drivers to have their first.
Ooh, that's Ripley into Real.
Oh man. Oh, and he's going. Oh man.
He didn't hold the brakes.
Yeah, that is bizarre. He totally could have stopped that surely, right?
Oof. Let's take another look at that one from Ripley's perspective here. Ah, that's gonna sting for Real, for sure.
He tried to avoid it, but
yeah,
he had so much overspeed from the tow from Ackridge, and Real I think was probably slowing down a little bit to let Ackridge go by since they're not fighting for class, and it was just kind of a miscommunication. 3 drivers all in the same place on track.
It just happened so fast, and you see Ripley watching Real go back into the barriers.
Yeah, especially from looking at Ripley's point of view there. I mean, that he barely even sees that coming.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think Real was on the brakes at any point during that. He must have just been so caught off guard.
Yeah, that's.
And he wasn't able to pit because he was past the. Ripley was able to pit, but he wasn't able to, and he's got some damage to that rear wing.
Oh,
he spins
there he
in
is.
Lafanya, yeah.
Yeah,
Or Lacombe, sorry.
Very unfortunate for Real. What was looking like such a good race is now
Ripley disconnected and he towed. It is 2 drivers out. That's sad. Yeah, and Real disconnected.
I'm sure we'll see a apology letter in the Discord relatively soon, maybe.
Yeah, that's again. It's mostly fueled by we do have our first drive through Sasha Kempter, but yeah, just a miscommunication. A lot of drivers all in the same spot on track, but it still doesn't feel good.
No, it does not, and I can't imagine being Daniel right now with just leading by 6 seconds and then being taken out. Ouch.
So we are down to only 9 drivers in the field who qualify for safety points, and we are halfway through the race.
Yeah, we've got a
and
ways
we
to go.
have 2 that are on the. Well, actually, no, because we have 1 that's on the. I mean, half of those people are within two points of being disqualified from it.
It's getting close.
And the drivers are getting close to each other on track there. Marcus Osborne certainly not getting any reprieve from behind right there.
No, he is not, and that is Paul Skip. That's really pressuring him in that John Player Special Ferrari. I didn't even recognize it at first, but it's always Paul if you see John Player Special. Yes, it is. Mark Dillon Jr. Passes Sasha for 16th. Ooh, John Kelly. No, he's just in the pit lane. Never mind.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that battle for 8th, 9th, 10th there is hot for GTD Pro there. Those guys are, man, look at that.
There goes Paul. Pulling out. He's going to be way ahead by the time they get to the braking zone. But can Marcus Osborne hold on?
Yep, there we go. Yeah, the speed was it was starting to go away on him as the Mercedes looks like it probably has some higher top speed, and it was starting to get to the point that it was gonna start pulling back towards each other, but just short enough for him.
Yep.
Pass. Oh, Osborne. Oh.
Barely. Wow.
Skip got a little bit loose in front. Osborne was right there to almost have both of them involved in that. That might have been wide there by Skip.
No, I don't believe so. But up ahead as well, that is Christopher Newby and Aaron Claybaugh. Just a little close to each other on track. Not for position, though. So we'll take a look back at Marcus Osborne and Paul Skip. Look at the way they throw those cars around there. I love just watching the suspension load up and then decompress. Oh, Gareth McAllister and Mark Dillon Jr. This is Puan. Oh, did he get hit from behind, or was that just the downshift there? Oh, that's Mark Dillon Jr., though. Take another angle from that. Very shortly. Let's take a look.
Oh man, yeah, Gareth McAllister's car is all ruined. All these drivers are driving like super slow, trying to get around him right now.
No, that was all on McAllister there, a money shift, and then that took Mark Dillon Jr. with him. Interesting.
Weird to see a GT3 car do that.
But Steven Shepard, this is Puan as well. Looks like he gets caught up with Mark Dillon Jr. Just going around him, not any physical contact, and he's into the wall as well.
How did he not get worse damage than that?
I'm sure he may have a little steering damage there, but yeah, this car looks relatively okay for what he did.
It should have been over.
Yeah, here's Sasha Kempter.
I'm looking at him on cockpit. It's not. His steering's fine.
Interesting.
He's pitting though.
That's Kempter just going straight on and towing possibly some sort of issue.
Kempter had that penalty, and I don't know if he took it. Gareth McAllister does have a drive-through penalty now as well from that incident, but I mean his car's barely even making it back.
Yeah, he does have a fast repair though, so it's not the end of the world.
Well, the drive-through is though.
Oh yes, but if he didn't have that drive-through, it wouldn't be the worst thing for him.
4 seconds now between Terry Carrick Jr., Brad McCombs, and then 20 seconds back to Tyler Langenberg. Calgary certainly has the advantage here, and he's slowly pulling away from McCombs, but those two drivers are just in a completely different league right now for this race.
There you see Terry Carrick Jr. Right behind him is a lapped car. Oh, and into the pits. What did we say, 55 minutes?
Yep.
That's where we are right now. And into the pits goes Terry Carrick Jr. and Brad McCombs. Surely to be followed by Mr. Dennis Diaz. And then 19 seconds back, Tyler Langenberg, who's all the way in the bus stop right now. Just shows how much of a lead these guys have out on there.
Yeah, I think Paletti right there was just going to do whatever Langenberg didn't do. It looked like he was sizing up, seeing what Langenberg did, and do the opposite. Again, Paletti was third for the first bit of this race, and then we didn't catch when he and Langenberg had switched positions, but he was certainly fighting to take back that third place.
Yeah, now, Calgary took about 15 seconds in the box. McCombs is...
Well, Calgary Jr., he's not even to his box yet.
Oh, I'm just getting false information. Yeah. Never mind.
He's just now stopping right now. That's how long the pit lane is. I don't know. Do you have the bracket graphics? If not, I was just going to run over the bracket that we have, because this is the first main week of it.
We can pull that up real quick.
Yeah, we had a couple interesting duos for this head-to-heads. Again, if you are unfamiliar, the Pony Express, we started a few races into the season. We exclude the top 2 point scorers of each class, but drivers get reverse seated into a bracket challenge, double elimination, where each race, just whoever scores the most points in that race is declared the winner. And you can have some interesting results, as it's just head-to-head results, and we have some pretty interesting duos for this first one.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like in GTD Pro with Matthias Ackrich and Paul Skip going head-to-head.
Barely has the advantage on that right now.
We got Aaron Claybaugh, Andrew Neri, Stephen Thompson, who isn't here, so Nicholas Paletti wins by default. Marcus Osborne wins by default because Paul Boyle is not here. Patrick Ripley in the losers bracket has nobody to fight against, along with Terry Carter Jr. Now, down here we have our amateur bracket, which is Michael De La Sala versus Richard Curry. I'm not sure who's out in front. I believe it's Curry.
Yeah, Curry's he's been running the fourth for most of the race.
Then we've got Hingley and Real. Now, after Real's accident, it's looking like it might swing towards Hingley, although I'm not sure where Hingley is either.
I think Hingley actually had already left the race.
Yeah, he is. He's down there in 14th, and Real is in 13th.
Wow.
So we've got Connor James and Zach Nurnberger. I haven't seen Connor.
No James today.
So Zach's going to win, and then Jeffrey McDonald and Dan Barnett. I don't think McDonald's here today. So
no McDonald.
Barnett wins if he's here, right? Yep.
Yeah, he is. He's there in the 8th.
So that's what that looks like for tonight. Obviously, Ackrich and Skip can change. Claybaugh and Nary can change, but the ones where nobody's here won't change.
Just no surprise, but Paletti into the pits for this lap. Really interested to see where he pulls out, because again, he was right behind Tyler Langenberg going when Langenberg pitted last lap, and let's see if his decision to do the overcut paid off for him or not.
We'll have to find out. I mean, it definitely could, getting that extra lap out of the stint. But only time can really tell.
And Langenberg's coming across the start line right now, coming down to the Eau Rouge. So that's looking like that's going to be a win for Langenberg for sure.
Now look at...
Yeah, by quite a lot. Wow, look at that.
That is almost 3 wide, with Marcus Osborne sticking his nose in there with Borland and Ackrich. Wow, that's...
Those are guys fighting for position.
Yeah, that pit cycle really bunched everybody right back up, as Borland and Ackrich are going to go side by side into Eau Rouge.
Ooh.
Up the hill, side by side. Ooh, that's Marcus Osborne, and they're still driving. Wow.
They got lucky to not have a huge crash there. There was collision.
That was so close. It's not even funny.
I don't envy Newbie sitting behind that right now. I think he's going to be a little nervous of, what wreck might immediately appear in front of him.
I would be as well. Wow. Now this is some close
Neri,
racing.
Osborne, Skip, Ackrich, Borland, all 4 position. Kind of insane for this latter half of the top 10 for GTD Pro.
Yeah, interestingly, the green mirrors and wings on that Mercedes there of Marcus Osborne are misleading because he's a pro. He is very much in this fight with these cars.
Yeah, you forgot to update that for that paint.
That's just the default IMSA one, because I think that's the default paint for that car. But yeah, back here we see Barnett and Diaz. Diaz really far back. I'm not sure. Was that all from the pit cycle? Surely not.
Interesting to see. Yeah, I mean, Diaz definitely let him go there. He's been really... a crash by Marcus Osborne. Right when I looked away from the screen. In campus, just got a tire right in the sand there, right near the gravel. And a huge wreck into the wall.
Ooh, that'll do it.
No one else collected, but that was big.
As you'll see, he's right on the brakes, make sure it's predictable, and really good job staying out of everybody's way there. But really unfortunate for him. He had a really good race going.
He's driving it back, but it's not looking too hot.
No, it's not. Ryan Glover and Richard Curry going at it here and into the bus stop. Curry with a really nice move.
For the podium spot right now.
Can he make it stick, though? It looks like he's going to have the run with that line that he took. Maybe. Just not enough straight line, though.
I got plenty of straight line coming up here, though.
All right, we'll see.
A much better exit by Glover there, it looks like. But we'll see. The draft is certainly going to help Curry.
Yeah, Glover, I don't know. It all depends on this corner right here. And
it looks like I think Glover took it well enough that he'll be fine.
yeah, looks like easy defense.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool seeing these drivers fighting for the podium here, and I'm almost certain that these drivers have not scored a podium this season. I can double check that real quick. No, yeah. So neither of these drivers have had a podium, and they're both fighting for third place, trying to get the first one here.
Yeah, hopefully one of them will get it. I mean, could end up in a situation where neither of them do, but I wouldn't wish that on either of them.
And Nürnberger's not too far off from Newbie right now. Also, Newbie's certainly getting slowed down by that huge group of pros in front that he wants to not, get involved in. But that's pulling Nürnberger, at least giving Nürnberger the opportunity to catch up.
Yeah, we can see Newbie right there in the back of that train.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you can't get by them all, then it's probably just making it even worse for you. So I think that he's going to be hoping to get into a pit window and just try to avoid this whole group.
That would be my strategy here. I mean, they are just so tight and so on each other's tail that there's not really much you can do as as one of the people in that train. It's like F1, but
Akrich a little bit squirrely, but he's all right.
That looks like Neri's gonna have a run maybe on Paul, but no, not a good enough run.
Nah, it's tough to get and run into turn one unless you really nail the chicane compared to your competitor. No mistakes through. Ooh, Neri really mounted that inside curb there. Not quite the amount of curb you want to take. He certainly loses some momentum to the guys in front. De La Salle letting him by there. He's, not fighting for position. He's on a different lap also, I believe. But that is Akrich losing the spot to Skip.
Yeah, and Neri's going to look to maybe take that spot as well. Inside, through that right-hander.
Can't quite do it. It was a good look. Just didn't quite have the room to do that.
Unfortunately not. But
a little wide for Borland in front of Skip there as well. These drivers are not driving. They're stressing each other out. I can tell you that.
How do they look on incident points?
Looking at these drivers specifically, Skip. Yeah, I mean, Borland, Akrich, and Skip are on the edge of a penalty. And then Neri is the only one who's safe. He's only got 7 incident points. The other guys have like 18 and 19. So he can probably afford to drive a little more aggressively. These other 3 guys are one incident, one wreck away from getting a drive-through.
That would be pretty much the end of their race as it stands now. They're not driving like it, though. No, I don't think they want each other knowing, oh, push me wide and I'll have to go to the drive-thru. They don't want each other to know that, so they are right there, elbows out, hoping to scare everybody off.
Yeah, it's not data that they're able to have pulled up. Oh, I heard Skip's engine. I was following on board the Borland there, and I could hear Skip there, just in the rear.
Back to Curry and Glover in third place. Curry can't make it work with that narrower line. Uh-oh.
Ooh, Borland got a little squirrely in the exit turn 1. Skip on his note. Yeah, that we watched that happen. Yeah, it's just driving through. Skip is really close. Oh, he actually did lose it. All right. Well, all right. Never mind. He had a oh man, he almost saved it. Almost lost. Almost saved it. Let's see. Did he at least get going all right?
Yeah,
he had a huge gap of Langenberg behind.
He made it out.
Still a huge gap.
Oh yeah, definitely not what he wanted, but it could have been much worse. Glover and Curry.
Man, they
once
constantly
again.
side by side.
It's their favorite thing.
Yeah, and Glover doing the Porsche, which we don't see a lot of the Porsches in the GTD class. But Glover is he qualified overall 23rd. So I mean he's way up from where he started.
Yeah, Glover's doing really well today. I mean,
And Curry started 18th, so he also has made up a lot of ground.
yeah, both of them
Yeah,
really
Skip
well.
is right on board.
Take a look back to them.
Yeah, he's following about as close as anyone can through this section of the track. It's these guys are really fighting for position. Again, this is up for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th in GTD Pro.
These points matter. Looks like a newbie in the background as well. Trying to get past them. But this is how they look overall. Now we can see the pros are starting to filter their way through. Christopher Newby, the
Skip
only
on the
one
inside.
in the top 10 now.
Oh, he is sending it. He's sending it.
Oh, just barely.
Well managed by both drivers there.
Some great racing going on right now. Will Borland takes an off track there. So does that mean penalty, or does he have one more still?
He's at 19, which I believe the penalty is 21, I think.
It was my thoughts that it was 20, but still really, really close.
Because John Kelly's at 21, and he doesn't have a penalty, so it must be more than 21.
But yeah, really close to getting that long drive through.
Oh,
So-
much better exit by Skip there.
Yeah, he's
Much
flying.
better exit.
Wow.
There's nothing Borland can do here. Skip didn't even. Oh, but
With the
see that
Mercedes.
top speed? It's starting to.
Ooh, that was kind of saw that one coming there.
Yeah, they
if
were
I'm gonna be
so
honest.
close, so close to each other.
That one's pretty clearly Paul Skip's fault, I think. We'll take a look at the replay.
I mean, I'm watching. I think it's just a racing incident. They're close to each other. I don't think Will goes really that deep. Skip was still gonna make. It's not like he turned in that early, but they're so close to each other in that corner. And there's a little bit of why am I that the net code. That's the word I'm looking for. A little bit of net code involved there. It shouldn't have been a collision looking like that. It should have just been a little tap.
Yeah. But from what I saw, I thought maybe Skip just turned in a little bit too much, but of course, it doesn't really matter. He's the only one that lost out on that part. But
yeah, I mean, luckily it was light enough that it was probably just a 0x because Skip is just at 20, so he only got 2x for that spin, which Borland would have also acquired. So Borland is at 21. So the penalty is above 21. I don't remember exactly what it's at. It's above 21 and below 26. I'll tell you that.
so I'd say 22, I think. Sounds familiar since I'm the master of getting drive-throughs. 22 is probably the number that we're looking at here. And it's not the number that you want to hit tonight, that's for sure.
22. Yes. All right. I knew as the commentator, I needed to actually know. So looked it up. Yes, 22. So, Osborne just hit his 22nd. Just had an off track there in Puhan. Osborne has a drive through. Borland's at 21. Kelly's at 21. Ackridge at 20. Skip at 20. Bradley Combs at 18. A lot of drivers are close to having their race ruined.
I mean, if everybody gets one, then they're all equally
Yeah.
set back. But
Nice move by Ackridge. Oh, but he doesn't keep the momentum going. Isn't able to keep the position. Wow, it really looked like he had that going into the first bit of Lake Home.
yeah, but he's gonna. Oh, never mind. Doesn't have the speed. I thought he was gonna pull out and try it again. Fortunately, can't make that work. Nary is right on his tail now, though.
7 drivers are in the safety point bonus range. That's it anymore. And we have some, faces that, we certainly expect. Terry Calgary Jr.'s up there, James Foreman, Christopher Newby, Christopher Craig, guys that we're used to seeing up there, and Mark Dillon Jr. with the least currently.
Mark Dillon Jr. No, he has the least, but it's... Oh, no, he is back on the lead lap. I thought he was a lap down last time I checked.
Well, he can be a lap down from Terry. He just can't be over. He can't be 2 laps down from Newbie. Which, I mean, looking at where Terry is, I mean, that's they're on a completely different section of the track. That's just how far ahead Terry Cocker Jr. is right now.
Yeah, Terry Cocker Jr. really controlling it after Brad lost it in the chicane there. And if things go his way, it's a well-deserved win tonight. But Borland and Ackrich again. Ackrich just got to go the long way around there.
A little bit slow on the mid corner speed again. Oh, yeah, they kind of turned into Neri there. I don't think he knew Neri was there.
Now,
I don't think he realized he lost that much momentum.
How many does that put Ackrich at now?
Ackrich, that was a 0x, so he's okay on that. But that certainly was close. I think he was at 20. I think he got an off track for 1. So he got lucky there that wasn't counted as anything more than that. But Newbie happy to get by both Neri and Ackrich for sure. He's got Skip out of the way, Neri, Ackrich, Osborne. He's just got one more guy to get around before he can get himself some clean air for that GTD AM lead. However,
Neri's gonna challenge it.
Yeah, Neri's.
Never mind.
Oh, Newbie's going wide. He's going into the grass there. He had to bail out of that.
Oh, Neri.
Smart to not stick into it.
Neri also going a little wide there though. But yeah, I was gonna say before he went off track, Newbie made it a really good job getting around those 2 pro drivers there. Obviously, no longer is he ahead, but he's still in a good spot.
Newbie, why not? You know, you're in first by 10 seconds. Just take the 1x. Don't try to stick it on the track. It's fine to abandon it. He's at 7x, close to losing the bonus points, but most people don't have it. Yeah, and Mark now is at 7 from this incident here.
Ooh, same
Looking
thing
just like Brad.
Yeah, same thing that Brad becomes. Ooh, that's Gareth McAllister though. Hold on.
Done that.
I think Gareth may have made it out all right though. That's definitely a scary sight there that we got cut off at.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Wow.
that was a save by McAllister there.
Now that was scary. While things cool down just a little bit, I think the last pit cycle is going to start coming pretty soon. We're going to take a little short break and we'll be back when the action picks up in a few minutes. All right, we're back, and as we'll see, the first few people are starting to come into the pits for their pit lane, or their pit stop. Although Will Borland, I believe, picked up a drive-through penalty, so his stop is just going to be him driving straight through.
Will Borland and John Kelly both picked up a drive-through while we were gone, and Andrew Neri really came out on top on that 5-way battle we were seeing earlier.
Paul Skip, though, I think that may be a scheduled pit stop, along with Richard Curry.
Yeah, Skip is at 21, but that is a scheduled, yes.
All right. Looks like Dennis Diaz possibly going in. No, he just went off a little bit on corner exit.
Yeah, I mean, again, with some of these drivers' incident counts, I mean, some of these they can't afford to just go a little bit wide. A couple off tracks, and a lot of these guys are going to be over the limit.
Yeah, they've really got to watch themselves now. Andrew Neri, Team Good Squad. Now, that's the same title here as Aaron Claybaugh. Oh no, Doge Squad. I am a little confused here, but I thought that Goon Squad was Claybaugh and Boyle and all that team. I was gonna say, did Neri join them without us knowing? But no. The answer is no.
Indeed not.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, I mean, Neri's got to be happy with, you know, we saw all those drivers just like all next to each other, and slowly one by one they're falling off. You know, a spin, a wreck, a penalty, and then all of a sudden Neri gets to be all alone in front.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 43 seconds to Borland behind him, so.
He's got himself a nice cushion there in that 6th place. Terry Cowger Jr., his cushion is the best. With 19 seconds, he's actually right there looking to lap Zachary Nurnberger, who is...
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say?
In P5 of GTDM. I mean, absolute masterclass of a race he's got going on right now. Take a look at the gap, what everybody's gap to him is. And 19, 34, 42, 49, 57. There are only 5 people within a minute of him. That's a number, and only down to 10th is just about 13 seconds, 14 seconds shy of being lapped. So yeah, that really puts into perspective just how fast he's been tonight.
Yeah, and you know, Brad McCombs again. He did have that one error, but still his pace has been crazy, and you know, you don't want to be 20 seconds off the lead, but he is 15 seconds away from 3rd, so he's got to be happy about being in that spot currently. And Langenberg again as well qualified definitely lower than he probably should have, and he was fighting with Paletti early in the race, but he's now 8 seconds ahead of Paletti, keeping that podium spot.
Yeah, and let's see. John Kelly, who was looking for that 3rd place, of course, had that drive-through, so that leaves Richard Curry here to possibly take that. Or it was no, never mind. It was Glover he was fighting with.
Glover and Curry. Kelly was up there early, had an incident, and then had a drive-through. So the late race hasn't been going the way he wanted.
They're both Porsches. I got a little confused, but Ryan Glover and Zachary Nurnberger.
Oh, we did have a big wreck by Atticus there in Blanchimont. His car mounted the wall. That was a little bit of a physics glitch there.
Of course,
that
being
pretty wild.
The 2nd time that he had an issue in that corner tonight. Let's see if we can find it. It didn't say he crashed, it just said he went off track. So, oh, that's a nice camera angle there. Yeah, that's
Mirror Simulator.
That's definitely interesting physics there. Now I just want to take a look back real quick because I saw Matthias Ackers crash, but that's just him entering the pit lane. So SDK is just messing with us again. But Tony Watson, and that's Ackers, who talk about commentator's curse.
Wow.
I'm gonna stop commentating, I guess.
Just got in that sand. Skip lucky to not get collected in that, because that happened right in front of him, and then he was able to just keep driving. Yeah, I mean the gravel's pretty close on a lot of these corners here. It's really easy to make a mistake.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll need a new pair of pants, but luckily he doesn't have too bad damage anywhere. So, ooh, look at that!
Nice little cutback there.
Not gonna
That
be
was
able
a
to make it
fancy
work,
looking
but
move.
yeah, that was brave. If he held it, it was surely to cause some sort of unwanted. Oh, Eckrich again, possibly.
Yeah, to add some, well, he's pitting. To add insult to injury, he got the drive-through from that spin. So he's having to serve the really painful. I mean, like you said, I mean, as more people are doing it, it suddenly becomes not so much of an issue because everyone's doing it. But certainly the guys that he was battling against, like Neri, who is pretty low on the incident points, it hurts to be that far apart.
It definitely does. Now, Paul Skip is looking to get past Tony Watson and Neri. Gonna get past Tony Watson. Yep. But
Just enough.
nowhere near Neri this time around.
And again, another where Paul Skip is one off track away from getting the drive through. So he's trying to drive fast, trying to make up time, and he came kind of close there. But really wants to try to hound Neri while completely staying within the limits.
And that's hard to do. I mean, putting on that pressure and both of those though,
That is
Richie
off
Curry
track.
and Nuremberger. I don't
No
know what
question
their counts look like, but putting on that pressure and staying on track is the hardest thing that I've experienced.
Yeah, there's always a couple tools you got in the toolkit that don't have to just be about driving fast, where you can stress out a driver in front of you. You can do things to scare them without having to put in 100% pace, but you still got to be able to drive fast to pass them. And yeah, Skip is really close coming to the bus stop here. Is he brave enough to send it?
He
'Cause
is.
He can't make contact at all or go off track at all.
He's
Wow,
brave
that was
enough.
a great stint.
Nice pass
Really impressive.
from Paul Skip. Now, Christopher Craig is into the pits as well.
Yeah, with an hour 26, certainly this is when people are coming in for their final splash and dash.
Ooh, wow, look at that. That
Got to
slippage
spin that
there.
inside. Yeah, just a little twitch.
Neri back and forth. Can't decide which side. Now, the slightest contact here could be awful for either one of them. Neri's really got that run, and we've seen the
Yeah, we've seen-
Mercedes.
Yeah.
Mercedes has that speed. Is that Glover going slowly up here? Or?
That's newbie. I don't think he's going slowly.
It looked awfully slow, but maybe not. But Paul Skip is still ahead after
Yeah,
the chicane.
oh,
That's not good for
And
Skip,
that's
though.
a drive-through. That's a drive-through.
Oh, no.
That's all it took. Well, I mean, that's all it took, plus all the incidents before. But
Yeah.
that's all it took to go over the limit there.
Yeah. That is not what you want to happen if you're Paul Skip. It's going to put you
Harry's
in.
got to be happy. He's only at 10 incident points. Every person that he was battling with before has got a drive-through. Borland, Skip, Eckrich, Osborne, all those guys had a drive-through, and he's still sitting pretty on points.
Yeah, it's a race of attrition for him, and that's going to put him up into P7 at least.
Or 6, he's going to take Skip's spot.
P6, yes. And
Now, he does have Watson, though, on him. That's not to be discounted. Watson's made his way up there and will be 7th after Skip comes in to serve his penalty. But yeah, we have a couple battles, on track going, and certainly the Curry has been fighting quite a lot through the last bit of this, the middle bit of this race. First with Ryan Glover, and now Zachary Nürnberger fighting for the podium, the final podium spot each time.
Yeah.
A little wide, but Skip needs to go into the pits, so he's gotta wait for those guys to get by and then squeak his way through.
Richard Curry, I think we mentioned earlier, hasn't been on the podium just yet, so it's either him or it's Nürnberger, and Nürnberger pit a lot earlier.
Yeah, he did a totally different strategy with the pits, which doesn't surprise me. But Nürnberger's been on the podium every race that he has participated in. He did miss 2 weeks, but he's been on the podium for each one. Obviously, won last week out in Monza. We'll see if he can keep his podium streak going for races.
It's looking good, but I mean, never discount Richard Curry. He is lurking back there, ready to strike. Now, this is Andrew Neri, and Tony Watson went off track going side by side with him.
Oh, that was a big collision.
That was more than an off track, but also Ryan Glover in the same spot, as we can see, third and fourth right behind him. Similar to what the Mercedes have done at various tracks, just losing that rear end. Not the first time we've seen that tonight, but that's going to allow Nürnberger and Curry to drive right past them. So Curry's up on that podium now. Like I said, never discount Curry.
Yeah, the Watson Neri thing, that was another one where definitely netcode came into effect with the severity of the incident. I do think that Tony Watson turned in early, and then nothing really, Neri couldn't really have been any closer to the curb, but it should have, again, just have been a tiny bump. It's a shame when the collision physics aren't modeled so incorrectly, and it ruins great racing that we're trying to follow.
Yeah, that's never any good, but Watson towed to the pits, obviously. I'm sure he'll most likely be down 2 or 3 laps by the time he's back on track.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, after that, there's just nothing that close on track. We have, obviously, Curry, who has now dropped to 2 seconds back from Nürnberger. Anything else, I mean, we got 4 to 10 second gaps between most of the drivers, unfortunately. I like when we have something to follow to the very end, but, never say never. Things could certainly shake out interestingly at the very end.
Yeah, I'm sure we can see maybe 1 or 2 more drive-throughs spice this up. Never, those don't go to sleep at night. They are always looming over the drivers.
And as you say, Curry has a drive-through.
So Curry, who was lurking in the background, got promoted up to P3, is now gonna take
to lose a whole minute.
One-way ticket through the pit lane. So
that will promote Glover, again, also driver without a podium, up to 3rd. And he's safe. He's clearly safe from Mark Dillon Jr. behind as far as gap. I mean, he's got 20 seconds on Dillon Jr. So Glover may be the one that now is able to finish on the podium for the first time this season.
Yeah, Mark Dillon Jr. came from way down. He was, let's see, where did he qualify? Mark Dillon Jr.
28.
is, yeah, up 15 positions overall. Up to be finishing eventually 4th if it goes his way. So Mark Dillon Jr. just one of those people that can really make it work no matter what.
Well, and really, it's because he only has 7 incident points. He's one of the least in the field. There's 3 guys with 6, 2 guys with 7, 1 with 8, and he's been able to survive this war of attrition, like you said, both through penalties and incidents. We saw he did have a spin, but he's kept himself out of big wrecks or getting himself a drive-through.
Yes, he has. He's just, I mean, back in VIR when I put my money on him, it was obviously a good pick. He's just super consistent.
Yeah, so the drivers who do currently have who are currently on pace for getting bonus points: Nick Paletti, Mark Dillon Jr., Christopher Newby, Terry Kiger Jr., James Foreman, and Christopher Craig. Again, guys that are either at the front or are ones that we could regularly see as some of the cleanest drivers. Curry has still opted to not take his drive-through yet. You got 3 laps to do it. I mean, if you don't do it, then you get, just completely DQ'd. So
Now, is it a DQ or is it like a 40, 50, whatever, 2-minute time penalty at the end?
it's a time penalty at the end if you didn't have the opportunity to serve it. So like if it happened within the last 3 laps and you didn't serve it, then you just get the time penalty. If you don't serve your penalty in 3 laps and you had the opportunity to do so, you just get completely disqualified.
That'll do it.
So hopefully he's aware that he needs to take it, because I think he's gone by the finish line, I think 2 times. Could be wrong.
Yeah, he'll probably be in at the end of this lap, and unfortunate for him with just 6 minutes to go. Not much you can do about it, really.
And again, Newbie had, not the best race last week at Monza. Every other race before that, he had been first or second, and he's about to continue that again, almost assuredly getting first place in this race as well. So he is first in points despite the poor Monza finish, and he's just going to continue bringing out that lead, because second place currently in GTDM is James Foreman, who, while he does have the bonus points currently, he is running back in 9th for GTDM. And Mark Dillon Jr. is in 3rd, who is running in 5th, will be promoted to 4th. So Newbie's got to be happy where he's at for sure.
And speaking of dominant wins here tonight, here's Terry Kiger Jr., who is,
Yeah, Curry's hitting.
Yeah, it gets me every time. But Terry Kiger Jr. has that 20-second lead on Brad McCombs. That's just surely... What's the biggest winning gap we've ever had in E4A? Like, this has got to be one of them.
Dennis did. I don't know.
I know Carl Handwerk won Daytona in season, it must have been season 3, season 4 maybe. He was the only person on the lead lap with the GTEs in a GT3, which was pretty impressive.
I think one of the most impressive things looking here is, I'm just looking through the other drivers. So again, we are on lap 41. Brad McCombs' fastest lap was lap 9. Langenberg was lap 2. Paletti was lap 16. Playball lap 11. Terry Kiger Jr., despite the fact that he's out front, his fastest lap was lap 38. So he's keeping those. It was his first lap out of the pits. I mean, he's got the gap, but he's not taking it easy. He put in a 2:15.9. From what I can tell, I don't think any driver has put in something below 2:16. I think he has the fastest lap of the race so far.
Yeah, that's as we see John Kelly passing Richard Curry as he comes out of his drive-through. But no, Terry Kiger Jr. is an absolute flyer today. I don't remember quite what we were running at Spa. I think it might have been low 17s on an optimal setup with some lower fuel. And Terry Kiger Jr. is out of here with high downforce setup in the middle of the day and running 2:15.9. So he is really flying.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that if it just weren't for the second lap, and then a couple times where like Paletti had a different strategy, Terry Kiger Jr. was really close to pulling the Grand Chelem here. Got pole, led almost every lap, won the race, fastest lap. A consummate victory for sure.
Definitely. Now that's Paul Skip and Mark Dillon Jr. Mark just letting him by, saying,
I need to recognize Mark in that car for sure.
Yeah, I know, it's weird.
It looks a lot like Matthias Ackrich's car as well, which keeps throwing me off.
Yep. He's not in that usual red Ferrari that we know him so well in. But that's James Foreman looking to make that move on Daniel Barnett. Maybe he can get it done within the next lap or two, because that's all the time he's going to have. Ooh.
Yeah, and just to touch on the fastest laps that you got pulled up there, really impressive lap by John Kelly there as well for the AM class. Almost breaking into the 216s, which only a select few of the GTD Pros even have done. Again, Terry Geiger in the 15s, I don't know how that's possible, but 17 flat is a really impressive time.
Speaking of Daniel Barnett, though, going deep into the bus stop, letting James Foreman through into P8. Nice uniform and easy move for Foreman. But yeah, that 17
definitely had a clean race. But there's been a couple incidents that I don't think went exactly the way they wanted. But at the very least, he's kept it on track more than basically him and Christopher Craig and Terry Kiger Jr. all tied for the least amount of incidents, which is really impressive here. And it just goes to highlight even more how impressive Terry's win is today.
Yeah, and now I believe based on where Terry is, that win should be coming on this lap. I think we're on the white flag.
Yeah, for sure. So we now have hit the time, so he would have got it at that line. I guess we just weren't following it, but I mean, it's not like, he's still got a 20-second gap to second place, so just kind of unbelievable how far ahead he is.
Yeah, it's been a really dominant race for him, and he's just got a few corners left to go before it is his race, as long as he doesn't wreck it in the last corner.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a 7-kilometer circuit, just over 7 kilometers, and half the field is at least a lap down from him.
Which that says a lot about his pace here tonight. It's going to be a very, very well-deserved win for Terry Kiger Jr. in that white, green, red, and black car as he comes through the final two corners. Terry Kiger Jr. is going to take the checkered flag to win in GTD Pro here tonight and Week 6 of Endurance for Amateurs. We're going to redirect our attention now to Christopher Newby, as he's leading almost the same gap as Brad McCombs is, or Terry Kiger Jr. won by just a few more corners for him as well before he takes that win in that beautiful Sonos Mercedes.
Yeah, again, both the winners of this race didn't really get to talk about too much because they just got out front, kept it clean, got a huge gap. I think they both have to be happy about it, even if at least I know Newbie had some exciting stuff in front of him with the GTD Pros, but Terry's race was kind of boring for him probably in the cockpit.
Yeah, but here he comes, Christopher Newby, coming to take another win this season. Wins in GTD AM tonight. And looks like Zachary Nurnberger in about 20 seconds is going to take that second place. And Ryan
Newby
Glover
would have finished 6th if there were no classes too.
Yeah, that's a great point. Newby did really, really well overall. We'll bring that up. That's how it looks overall. Newby finishing 6th. Nurnberger in 8th. 7th. 8th. Yes. Math. But yeah, a great race by all, and we'll get some interviews coming up after we see the rest of our field. Just wonderful driving from everybody here tonight.
Yeah, there's some more collisions than average, but it was a good race. Certainly some large gaps formed, but it's a tough track. It's one that really separates drivers. So I don't know if it's. I wonder if he had another. Yeah, he had another drive-through.
Oh boy, I don't think that'll count him as taking the drive-through, so he will have a time penalty as well.
Yeah, he kind of just made it even slower for himself doing that. Yeah, incident points were definitely the story. It's kind of what we anticipated coming into it. I don't think that'll be as much the case next week. Next week we have Bathurst, and that'll just be
Oh boy.
don't hit the walls.
Yes, it will be, but we will take a look at our GTD Pro results for tonight. Terry Calgary Jr. takes that win by 21 seconds here tonight, followed by Brad McCombs and Tyler Langenberg. Nicholas Paletti and Aaron Clayball round out the top 5. Then Andrew Neri, Will Borland, Paul Skip, Gareth McAllister, Matthias Ackrich, Tony Watson, Marcus Osborne, Sasha Kempter, Patrick Ripley, Adrian Vahil, Antoine DeCash. I didn't see much of him. Rounds out.
He didn't grid.
Rounds out the rest of GTD Pro.
GTDM, your results. Winner yet again, Christopher Newby, followed by last week's winner, Zach Nurnberger, and first-time podium sitter, Ryan Glover. Followed then by Mark Dillon Jr., Christopher Craig, Richard Curry, John Kelly, James Foreman, Daniel Barnett, Michael Delasala, Stephen Shepard, Dave Ferrara, Daniel Real, Daniel Hingley, Atticus Middleton, James Kingsbury, and Marco Signoretti.
There you go. That was a wonderful race we had tonight. I'd say nothing short of entertaining.
Yeah, we had some really impressive charges through the field from some guys that qualified a lot further back than they should have. Really impressive win by Terry Calgary Jr. out in front. But I mean, we had guys like Andrew Neri started 21st, ended up finishing 7th overall, 6th for the class. Ryan Glover started 23rd, ended up finishing 3rd for class, 9th overall. So some really impressive charges through the field.
Yes, indeed. So we'll head to some interviews and hear what the drivers have to say.
All right, we got some drivers there in the waiting room, so I'm going to bring them in. So let's see. I'm going to make sure who we have in here. Do we have Ryan Glover? We do. I'm going to bring in Ryan Glover, first-time podium sitter. Ryan, get me in the booth.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Sorry about bringing you in mid-conversation.
No problem, buddy.
Really impressive race. We just mentioned you qualified overall 23rd, ended up finishing the race overall position 9th, first podium of the year. How do you feel about that race?
Oh, I feel amazing. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I feel so good. I did a lot of practice last night with Dan and Patrick and Marco. So I'd like to thank them just for helping me out. And I don't even know what to say, man. I'm so proud of myself.
Yeah, it was really impressive seeing that. You certainly had some battling that you had to do with Richard Curry there in the middle part of the race. Did you think that you would be able to come out on top of that when you were fighting for that third place spot midway through the race?
Not at all, man. I just the entire race I just kept my head down and ran my race. I didn't worry about I apologize if I made any bad moves, and I don't like racing like that. I mean, I am sorry if I did stuff like that, but anyways, I just kept my head down and got a podium out of it, so I'm happy.
Yeah, you're able to finish just under that safety point limit that induces a drive-through, which a lot of drivers got a drive-through and that ended their race. So that was certainly important to succeed in this race, especially, well, actually, really between both classes. Next week we have Bathurst, which will definitely be less of an incident point battle, but one that'll be worrisome about crashing into the wall. Is that a track that you have a lot of experience at so far?
Not at all, man. Not at all. I have had the odd hosted race practice just with random guys, but I'm not very good there at all. But we'll do a lot of practice, and I'll race. I'll do it. I'll see what comes out. How it turns out.
it'll be great to see another good result there. Again, obviously, first time podium, so best result of the season, and hopefully you can keep some more momentum going into next week. Congratulations with your race tonight, man.
Thank you very much, man.
You have a good night.
You as well.
All right, that was our third place in GTD AM, Ryan Glover. Going to pull in our second place runner, Zach Nurberger. Zach, get me in the booth here.
How are you guys?
Well, how do you think that race went for you? You got second place. You have now continued your streak of a podium in every race this season that you have attended, other than Nürburgring, which we can ignore that one. Did you think that you'd be able to pull away with a podium through this race?
I mean, again, it was like looking at the standings out of qualifying. There's a lot of guys ahead of me, but just like last week at Monza, you just keep it on track, keep it clean. Anything's possible. But the problem was, I don't know if you guys caught it, but I ended up having contact in turn one, and that gave me a bunch of aero damage. So then I had the short pit, take my quick stop earlier. So it was one of those situations where, whenever I was looking at it, I always knew I had my long pit towards the end, where everyone's gonna have a short pit. So it was always gonna be a bit of a battle to, have to deal with that strategy wise. But it all worked out. A little bit of luck too.
Yeah, what's the kind of mentality that you have to do when you're forced to do a short pit, and that you spend the entire race trying to do the calculations in your head of where you're actually going to come out? How do you still focus to just put in consistent lap times?
I mean, I think the key for me was just that second stint, trying to feel safe to get an extra lap to make sure I had a little bit of margin in the fuel tank towards the end. But it was kind of just knowing that, hey, I have clean air. No one's trying to slipstream me or, battle in front. And, just focus on running clean laps, knowing that some of those guys were all jumbled up ahead of us, or ahead of me rather. So I mean, it's not fun, no one to tow you along or anything, but you just kind of have to keep your head in the game and just hit your marks, knowing that something could happen ahead of you.
Yeah, you were one of a good handful of drivers that finished well above qualifying position. You qualified overall 20th, finished the race in 8th. Next week we have Bathurst coming up. I know that that's one you're familiar with, and that one a track that you enjoy. Are you going to be gunning for potentially a win, or what do you think you're expecting from next week's race?
Well, I mean, the last 2 weeks have showed slow but steady almost wins the race, I guess. Um, but I tried to do the same at Nerb, which is the hardest of the three, and we also had happen there. But I think it's just the mountain eats everybody alive. We saw the attrition was bad today at Spa, and that's a track a lot of people are familiar with. So, I mean, it's kind of a bunch of the same, really. Just trying to stay consistent. Run your laps. I think we did a preseason race, and I think if I wouldn't have crashed, I think I would have won by a full lap, or I would have gotten second, like down a lap, but a full lap out of third place or something like that. And that was only a 60-minute race, so um, I mean, I could also just die lap one, but just got to do your best, keep it on track, and you know, try and avoid the pileups.
Yep. I'm just doing really rough. I believe that if we were to put in to account for drop weeks, I believe you're in second place for GTDM behind Christopher Newby. So it's going really well so far for the season. Hopefully you can keep that going next week, and try to establish yourself as an early points leader even without the drops.
Yeah, definitely. Find consistent races. I know newbie's gonna be a tough one to beat, but gonna obviously give him a run for his money. You never know what could happen. And also, shout out to Ryan Glover today too. He had a really good race, and it was good to see another new face. I believe it's a new face on the podium.
Yeah, first podium.
And
Yep.
yeah, he ran a heck of a race. Kept me honest. I think he even spun and still overcut me out of the pits. He did a great job. But yeah, looking forward to seeing where everything hashes out at the end.
Absolutely. You have good luck with next week, and you have a good night.
Thank you guys as well.
All right, so that was our second place for GTDM. Zach Nurnberger gonna pull in our yet again race winner Christopher Newby. Chris, get me in the booth.
Oh,
Well, that's another win. That's win number 3 on the season. Already getting 3 wins within the first 6. This was one where certainly you put in a really good qualifying performance. You don't have any poles yet on the season, though. Does that surprise you that you don't have any pole positions yet?
No, I've always had a tendency of being slightly slower in quality and quicker in races. Yeah, there's usually always someone that goes quicker than me.
Yeah, I think we all kind of saw it coming with this race, just because this was the close. I think this was the closest you finished in qualifying to pole, and considering your race pace that you've had in the other races, we knew that something special would come from it. 20-second win though for GTDM is a pretty impressive gap. You had the same gap essentially that Terry Kiger Jr. did to second place in pro. I mean, you really can't have other than a last week at Monza, which I know probably didn't go how you wanted. You couldn't be doing much better with momentum for this season.
No, I'm really happy with it. So there's a lot of quick drivers in the group, so it's kind of need to maximize every race and get as many wins as possible.
Next up, next week is Bathurst. Is that a track you're strong at?
It's a particular favorite of mine. Yeah.
Oh man, I know that Zach Nurnberger is one who's raced a lot there, so I know he was kind of eyeing hoping to get a win. If you made any missteps, but this is definitely a track that will benefit people who have a lot of experience there.
Yeah, definitely. It's can be a tricky track, particularly with the obviously the mountain section.
Yeah. So again, can't do much better than first place, but hopefully you can replicate that. I guess the only thing that you don't have is back-to-back wins for the season. So we'll see if at Bathurst next week you can get the first back-to-back for the season.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, you have good luck with that, and you have a good night, man.
Eat it.
All right, that was our first place for GTDM. Christopher Newby, far away the GTDM points leader currently. I'm going to bring in third place for GTD Pro, which was Tyler Langenberg. Tyler, get me in the booth.
Hello.
So you had really impressive race pace there through the mid and late part of that race. What happened with qualifying? You were one of certainly a handful of drivers that ended up well outperforming your qualifying spot.
I just think qualifying here does depend if you have a draft or not. I don't know how Terry managed to get over half a second ahead of P2. But
None of us
that's
knew.
just me. But for the others, I think I didn't look at their laps, but they may or may not have a draft. I only had like one solid draft lap there. So I think having a draft did play a part in that. But either way, I was able to drive through the field tonight pretty easily. I only really had a threat from Dennis and Paletti. So I don't know how I got from 11th to 3rd
Yeah.
after a couple stops, but I'll take it.
Yeah, we were keeping an eye on the battle that you and Paletti had after the, I believe, second pit stop. Going into it, you guys were a few tenths apart, and then only a few laps after that had happened, you had already pulled out like a 4-second lead, and then that just ended up extending even further. You were one of the few drivers, which aforementioned Paletti as well, that was able to keep the incident points pretty low. A lot of your competitors ended up getting drive-throughs. How are you able to keep it, in that single-digit mark for a 100-minute race at Spa?
A lot of it is just keep your composure down. Like, especially at Spa, this is a tricky track to I know they improved it, but it's still kind of hard to avoid getting those little 1X's everywhere. Yeah, just got to keep composed. That's all. I don't think.
Yeah, it was
I think I was like one outside of the bonus point. So
yeah, you were 1 point away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Paletti was as well, to be fair.
Yeah, it was a great racing with Paletti too. Shout out Paletti.
So you've had a really efficient season. other than Monza, that was totally out of your control. Really, no low points. So after that race, you are currently in second place for GTD Pro. Next week up, we have Bathurst. Is that a track that you're particularly strong at?
I probably haven't. I haven't really properly driven Bathurst in a GT3 car. It's probably since about the 12-hour back in February, March, whenever it was. So, yeah, I think I have a decent shot at it.
Yeah, it'll be another one where, it'd probably be very similar to Long Beach. It's, just staying out of incidents, staying clean, keeping the car intact.
Yeah.
Good luck with you next week. Again, a very strong, consistent season so far. Keep it going for next week, and you have a good night, man.
Yep, 10-4. Thank you.
All right, we're going to bring in our second place runner, Brad McCombs. Hey, Brad, are you getting me in the booth here?
Hello?
Well, that was another second place that you had there. Really impressive race pace that you had. Early on, you were getting certainly really aggressive with Terry, and you even took that lead. What were the tires going off on the car, or because you were really close through that first pit cycle, and then the gap kind of started to happen during the second?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I kind of burn up my tires, staying so close to them into the corners. But it's the Ferrari has a little bit of understeer, so I knew I was losing a little bit of time in the corners. That's why I was trying to stay so close with them. And then, I'd use the draft or the toe and the straights to keep back up with them. And then something happened in the pits where I lost like a second, I think. And then I just pushed a little too hard, and my tires were pretty shot, like all the way through the race. I just started losing more and more time.
Yeah, and I mean, with it being night to day, it's not too surprising that the track warmed up. But you and most of the other drivers, all put in your fastest laps pretty early. You did have.
Hello? Oh,
Are you able to hear me?
yeah, cut out for a second.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was just saying that you were able to put in really fast times during that race, and I know the tires started to go off a little bit. You qualified second, which I think is, other than Nürburgring, I believe I think it was your highest qualifying position. Where did you get the benefit of some drafts during the qualifying session? I know that was something that was going through some drivers' heads going into that.
Actually, I didn't. I had like 30 seconds behind me and 30 seconds in front of me. I don't even know how that fast lap happened. It was just luck, I guess.
Yeah, I think that drivers were anticipating that coming in, and then I believe that Terry's lap also didn't have draft, and Tyler Lingenberg said he didn't get a draft either. So I don't think anyone was really benefiting from it. But again, another podium for you. For overall, let's see. I want to check on the points. You are currently in 8th place. Of course, you have Long Beach, which you weren't there for.
Yep.
And VIR and NERB, which will certainly be drops. So again, after Monza and Spa back-to-back second places, once we get these drop weeks sorted out, very competitive. Next week is Bathurst. Is that I know you've done Bathurst before. Is it one that you feel particularly strong at?
I do. I feel comfortable going into that one. Hopefully, I'll be talking to you again next week.
Yeah, I know it'll be a competitive one. I know there's some drivers that are excited to get in there. Good luck, and yeah, we definitely hope to see you on the podium yet again.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you have
a good night, guys. Yep.
All right, now we're gonna pull in our winner, Terry Cagger Jr. Terry, get us in the booth.
Yes, I got you.
Well, you were really close to getting the Grand Chelem there. You had pole, you had the fastest lap, you led, I think, all but 2 laps. You had the win. What kind of preparation did you have coming into this one?
Went to Road Atlanta for Petit Le Mans, actually.
Yeah.
Did a little bit of testing Thursday after when I got power back before I left, and then did a little bit on Monday night, and that's about all the chance I had to actually do any testing or practice for this.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember looking at your qual lap. You didn't have tow even during your pole lap, did you?
No, I did not. Well,
Yeah, I don't.
the original pole lap I did, I was behind Dennis for the first 2 laps, but after that, the final 2 laps, the faster 2 laps were with no tow.
Yeah, we were looking at that kind of insane gap that you had, and I went back to look at the replay while we were doing it just to see like, oh, okay, was he hooked up on someone's rear bumper, and you didn't have anyone in front of you on the Kimmel Straight, so I don't think anyone in the field or here in the booth has any idea how you pulled that lap out in qualifying, but the other thing I did you take tires during your one of your stops?
During the race, no.
Yeah. All right. Well, then there's even more I'm confused by because I was looking again late in the race. All the drivers. I think Tyler Lingenberg's fastest lap was second lap. Uh, Brad's was like 11th, and then your fastest lap was lap 38 of like 45.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, to be honest. I was shocked about that.
Yeah, you had a huge gap, a 20-second win. Certainly, you weren't taking it easy at the end because you were still putting in steamer laps. I did hear from Brad that his tires were just kind of starting to die, especially on the Ferrari with the understeer that it has.
Hmm.
I don't think that you really could have hoped for a much better race other than just being able to get that elusive every lap led.
Yeah, that's about the only thing I could have asked for any different, I guess. It it was a good race. Brad and I had a great race going there at the beginning, right up
Yeah.
until that first pit stop. So that was a lot of fun.
So yeah, so through 6 races, you've got 2 wins and a second place, and then 3 races that I know you definitely will
I'd
want to
like to
drop. We
forget.
have we have the 4 drop weeks. You are currently third place in the standings, despite some down weeks, including last week. Of course, none not completely out of your control.
Yeah.
Next week we have Bathurst. Is that one that you feel really confident at? I know we got some drivers in the pro field that are chomping at the bit for it.
Um, I have very little time at Bathurst, so it's not one that I'm necessarily looking forward to. But luckily, I got the house to myself Friday night, so I know what I'll be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll definitely be one that, drivers are gonna struggle to survive, I think. But there's a lot of experienced guys in this field, so hope to see a great race, and I hope to see you at the front of that.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
hoping so too.
yeah. You have a good night, man.
All right, you too.
And that is all of our drivers. All 3 of our podiums. Luckily, we got everybody got everyone in the interview today. That was great.
Yeah, that's always good to have. And I mean, going over to Bathurst next week, I think that's going to be a really interesting race, especially with how tight those walls are. Saw a lot of that last season, people getting turned and blocking up the track. So I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, I know. It can be kind of a wild traffic jam at that track for sure.
Yes, it can. Well, you have any final comments for anybody tonight?
No, I don't think so. It was a great race. I'm looking forward to another wild track next week. It's been a great start to the season, and I'm excited about the schedule that we got coming up after this.
Yeah, well, all right. We'll see you next week at the same time for week 7 at Bathurst.